Right now it is time to bring in the frickin' frack of Nick and Nack, Tim, Luke, and Greg Schramm, the appraisal guys. You'll find them on the web at tqag.com. That's Treasure Quest Appraisal Group. But if we're lucky enough to make contact, on Tuesday mornings they join us live. Good morning.
Well, good morning.
What's that noise in the background? It sounds like a ringing.
I am in Louisville, Kentucky, and the airport. My flight was canceled because of critters on the plane.
Critters?
That's a new one.
Critters?
Critters. That's the formal word that they used was critters. And so I'm waiting. My next flight out is at 10:30. So I thought, oh, well, perfect. I could be on the radio.
We're just talking about critters, though. They could mean they found some people from New York on a plane.
No. I think it was more, they said something crawled in overnight and trying to keep warm. So
snakes on planes. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I don't know. But I was here for the International Society of Appraisers annual conference. And I was also teaching some classes, and I was on a panel and attended some really great workshops and great lectures, and saw some just incredible things in the museums. So Louisville actually has they have several really, really incredible art museums and art collections. And of course, there's the Ali Museum as well that's here, and home of the Louisville Slugger. So it was a good conference, and I'm looking forward to getting home.
And you know how to pronounce Louisville. It's not Louisville.
Right.
It's Louisville.
Right.
I mean,
Louisville.
No, really, it is. That's the way it's
I know.
pronounced. It's not Louisville. The guy by the name of Louis isn't. Just think it's down south. But anyway, so now you're sitting in an airport. I think this is so wild that you're in an airport, and I guess you're at home, Greg.
Yes, I am. I'm sitting at my desk.
Well, there could be worse things you could be sitting at. I mean,
That's true.
So what's the plans for the next week or two for you guys? You have more stuff coming up?
Well, yes, actually, I'm working on right now. I'm working on a very big estate appraisal. I think we talked a little bit about this a couple of weeks ago, where 2008 seemed to be a banner year for us. And now, this many years later, those clients, a number of them, the appraisals have turned from insurance and replacement to estate appraisals. And so I'm working on a number of those, and a couple of them will be brokering the items in their estate. So that's kind of what I've been working on. So I thought, this is being my 70th year, I was going to slow down, but that's not going to happen.
No, because like Satchel Paige says, you don't ever want to look behind you because something might be gaining on you. So you never want to slow down.
No. Just keep going.
Just keep going. Now, I've got a question to ask you guys. Mecum Auto Auctions was on this live this week, 4 days in a row. And I think I've noticed something, but I wanted to ask you guys about it. Normally, the first day of the auction is a day where normal people can go and bid anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000 on a car. Okay, I noticed that this week there were 2 full days like that, and then there was 2 days of where they gradually got to the real high end stuff, the high end cars. Is that just a smart move because maybe the high-end cars aren't bringing in as much, and so they're going to extend a little bit more for the lower bidder?
I think it's supply and demand in a lot of ways, is that maybe there were just more of the lower-end pieces that they had and said, let's bring this in because that brings, more people in too. And maybe they are spreading out some of the higher end pieces for other auctions because they know they're going to get those. It's trying to, I think from my perspective, personally think that you do that so that you get more people in, and they look at that, they see that, hey, I got a great deal. They tell their friends, more people will then want to go and say, oh, that was affordable, that's great. And then they get more people entry level coming in to the auctions. Because really, why, if it's just all high end stuff, then you're just there as a spectator, as opposed to really trying to get in there and starting collecting. So
I think it's an intentional business strategy, because because the high end stuff, although there is quite a bit of it out there, not everyone has that amount of liquidity that they can invest in these high-end automobiles.
Also, I think doesn't it kind of like train people to get into the auction, where you can spend $10,000 to $20,000, and then as you get older and maybe more successful, or you go higher and higher, you are building your future people to come to the auction.
Sure.
Yes, and that's one of the things that we always, and we've said it on this show, I don't know how many times: collect what you like and what you can afford. And if you're just starting at these car auctions for the affordable automobiles, when you amass a collection, and before you buy something that you can't afford, sell and use that money to upgrade your collection. So, but as far as the auctions themselves, having 2 days where they have one that's like a lower end, and then they have the main event, that happens a lot in regular auctions as well. And we've seen that in collectibles, we've seen that in toys. Some of the lower end and much more affordable collectibles, a lot of times are done either at the end of the auction, and they put them in box lots, but there's something there for everybody. So I think it's an intentional business decision that they made, and I think it's good for their bottom line, and it also does what you suggested, and that is it educates the consumer not to be intimidated by auction, and that's probably the best way to buy something that's affordable.
And go on, Tim.
If they have a good experience and they do this and they see how easy it is, then they're going to come back.
And what I found, because I love to watch these car auctions, I kind of liked it a lot, because there were cars that if I were there, I could bid on, that went for $12,000 and $13,000 and even up to $18,000, and they're going to gain in value in the future. Maybe not as fast as the real. I mean, it's always nice to see those $300,000 and $400,000 $1 million cars, but it's really nice when you see somebody take care of, like, let's say there was a '67. There was a small Ford. Anyways, it might have been a Falcon. Well, the Falcon went for $18,000, but it was in pristine shape. So I know it added interest to me, because I can relate more with that now, looking at that.
Sure, and that's the other side of it, is condition. We've talked about this a lot too, is that the condition, you want to buy the best condition that you can afford, because that will just help maintain the value over time.
We've got 2 minutes, and I've got
good morning.
Good morning. I've got a quick question. It's tangential, but it, in my view, in my weirdness, is apropos. One of the things that Marshall and I have noticed it's like, in the past couple of weeks, every other day comes in the post something that is handwritten and says, "Dear Marshall and Jill." It's personalized, it's handwritten, or it's fake handwritten, but it's, please listen to this and tell us what you think, or you interviewed me once before. It's almost as though somebody figured out that stuff just goes into email spam. And I am wondering if you are noticing anything similar, like to any just any inklings of tangibility coming back into the mixture.
Absolutely. I am so keen on the stuff that's happening with being hacked and phishing and all of that stuff, that I've gotten to the point where I'm pretty good at discerning whether something is as it appears to be.
Right.
And I get a lot of things that are from known, like friends and known entities, and I can tell from having a relationship with these people that that's not how they normally would put a sentence together. So for me, that's the first clue to find out, and I don't even bother going any further because
to Jill's point, and what she's saying is that I just worked with a gala, and part of the invitations, all of the gala committee, they hand wrote and addressed the envelopes,
right,
so that it had more of a, hey, we did this, and it has a little bit of us on that, and we would like you to make sure that you open this. And I think that's what Jill's getting at, is that more people are realizing all of the noise and everything going into spam folders, that you might get a better response if, oh my goodness, you write a letter and you put a stamp on it and you handwrite it.
It's funny you should mention this, because just 2 days ago, Tim got one and I got one. They're postcards, and they appear to be handwritten. Right. And at the bottom it says thank you, and it's actually signed by somebody from the organization, and it's 2 separate messages, and it's from 2 different people at the same organization, which I at first, because we never usually get postcards from this organization, I thought, okay, something's not right here. So they're on Tim's desk, and then when he gets home, he can take a look at these and see if they are what they purport to be.
All right. Well, we are what we purport to be, and that is out of time.
Out of time.
So one quick thing I'm just going to tell you. Here is my turkey. Are you ready?
Are we ready?
Gobble, gobble.
Is that bird note?
That sounds like a very slow.
That's bird note.
That sounds like a very slow turkey.
Yeah, very slow.
Yes, I know.
All right.
All right, guys.
We'll talk to you
Have
next
a great week.
All right,
Fly right, Tim.
All right. That is Tim Luke and Greg Schramm, the appraisal guys, the frickin' frack of Nick and Knack with Appraise This, TQAG.com on the web.